Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dink Tank Podcast. My name's JJ.
And I'm Graham.
And this is episode 21.
21.
And we do still have a giveaway. Graham was sick, so we had to delay this like a week.
Yes, I've been sick literally since last Monday. So full week.
Yeah. Because I know we got
better now.
We got a certain new paddle, which everyone's been talking about. We're limited to what we can say, but we wanted to post about those quickly. So we'll finally get to talk about our first impressions on that. Some other news that's kind of been going on, and also, I guess, some updates about my tournament, which now has been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Since when I got back, I thought we were going to record right after, but yeah.
Yeah.
Busy schedule.
And jump into that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I played singles first. Again, why? I don't know. I think the one thing, in all honesty, is I haven't played. This is probably the longest time I had gone without playing like a legit tournament.
Yeah.
I played one thing up in Flagstaff. I don't think that got entered though. So my reliability score every month has just been going down. So I'm like, all right, I need to get a lot because I was playing this. I might be playing one more event this weekend. We're going to be playing the next PPA in Vegas at the Darling Tennis Center.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to Worlds, and I'm still trying to convince you to play with me.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I'll have a lot of stuff logged. So my duper should be in a pretty accurate place.
Not to mention, our last tournament did not go well.
No, yeah, it went terrible.
And it was terrible, and we got
we did not prep for that though, like at all. We were at Yola.
Yeah, it just we were prepping a lot,
just not correct.
And then the weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks before, just got destroyed.
You got busy. We both got busy with work. Then we traveled.
We had Yola. We were switching paddles like crazy. But the Yola event was the same week, right?
I know. Yeah, we got back, and then I think it was like a day and a half later, and that's why we were showing off the Pro 4s because they weren't out yet.
Yeah.
And then I ended up using them in one of my singles matches, and I think you did switch to it. No?
Yeah, I used it in the first game.
Yeah.
And then I used the Flamingo in the second game.
Yeah.
Won, lost.
Yeah.
Singles was whatever.
So anyways, though, as I was telling you, I had no idea what paddle to use.
Yeah.
And I had been planning to use the J7 NF, which I really liked. It's got a lot of control, very low end power or high end all court. That can be debated, however. But I liked kind of where that was at, so I was planning on using that. But there were some complications with my specific paddle. Nothing went wrong with it, just I'm not going to get into that. But regardless, there was a bunch of new paddles that were coming out, and I was wanting to test stuff, and I've been crazy busy as well. So I brought the Loco from Bread and Butter, I brought the Selkirk Boomstik, and I brought the Thrive Fury in the hybrid shape. I was hoping to get the new Thrive Fury, which is elongated, which their pros in the APP tour have been using, and I got to watch Andre and his partner play, because I think this was the last event for paddles that haven't fully paid into the UPA-A that you were allowed to use all of them at the pro level. So now the Thrive athletes can't play in PPA events anymore, at least if they're using a Thrive paddle, as well as any other brand that hasn't bought in. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, I decided to go with the Boomstik because the Loco, I didn't have enough time to experiment with weight. Yeah. In hindsight, now I would have chosen the Loco. Yeah. Just because I think I've honed it into a pretty good spot. I'm still tinkering a little bit. I don't think I have it 100%, but I'm like 95% content with where it's at. But I ended up using the Boomstik, and it did not go well. To be honest, though, my full effort probably wasn't there. I was pretty tired after travel. I just played some golf events.
Because you went Vegas golf event, went to see a friend in Wisconsin, and then came back?
Kansas City. Yeah, so I had played a golf event the week before, played a golf event that Monday, left Monday night, Kansas City for 3 days, flew back. I was supposed to do an interview with a certain pro. That got postponed. We're going to do that still. And then I went straight into singles and didn't really have any practice.
Yeah.
So my body was a little bit tired, I played up to 4-0. Yeah. Which seems ridiculous to say playing up to 4-0, but as we always joke, we do not play singles. But my first match...
4-0 singles is hard.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So
because all the 5-0s who don't play singles...
play in that,
play 4-0 singles, and it's not fun.
Well, our buddy Cody played in 4-0, and he got silver.
My exact point.
And in all honesty, I thought he should have won.
Yeah.
should have won, but 'cause I was watching him, and like anyways, he wasn't even playing well, and he made it to gold. And I'm like, why in the world? Because he plays 5-0 pretty much. Played 5-0 mixed, made it to the bronze match, and I think he played 5-0 men's as well. They got bounced pretty quick on that.
Exactly my point.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. But anyways, so I played up to 4-0 because my duper after Darling Center last year when I won in 3-5 was above it. So I played that, got smoked. Probably should have won one of the games in my first one.
Yeah.
Went to the first round of the back draw. I was lucky to get like 4 points, I think.
Yeah.
Regardless, didn't go well. I do have something to say, though, about the Boomstik and the other paddle, but the Boomstik after only three matches at that event. But anyways, that was Friday. So Saturday came around, and I had gotten to play a little bit with Jack.
Yeah.
Jack Selby, he's a YouTuber, runs the Iced Coffee Hour with Graham Stephan. Very successful business podcast. He's been a good friend of mine for a while. And this was his first tournament. So he didn't have a duper. And so we've been trying to figure out where he is. And we're all pretty even. So I'm like, because he was wanting to play like above what he was. I'm like, dude, first tournament, like I promised you, this is the right division for us to start in.
Yeah.
So we played 4-0, and I was like, we're either going to lose very first match or we're going to medal. And I was completely right, because we got up, I think 7-1 in our first match, and we lost. And I was like, oh no, this is exactly what I feared, of like being in a tournament and like things just not clicking. And on top of that too,
you didn't lose the first match, you lost the first game.
Sorry, first game of the first match.
Yeah.
And it was against the exact opponent I was worried about us playing, because Jack plays with some really good players in Vegas, but a lot of them aren't bangers.
Yeah.
And the very first people we played, all they did was drive the ball, and they did it very well. And so they were just catching Jack off a little bit, and myself even, because like you have to get to the line so quickly.
Yeah.
Regardless, we went at each other. We talked after game one. We're like, all right, just play the soft game. Like, he's very good at drops and dinks. That's what he loves to do. I've kind of been leaning. I think I actually prefer to play that way as well. So we just grinded them out. Like they couldn't get off the baseline. They just kept driving. We won the next two games pretty easily. And then we kind of handled our way through. The one thing I'll highlight in our second match it was against somebody. I'm blanking on his name right now. I've played against him before. He's a Vegas local. Good guy. Things got a little bit heated. Not going to get into that either. We were cool afterwards, but we were on the worst court there, because this was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Last year was at Fontainebleau. Last year was on carpet. Tons of injuries because they had those temporary platforms. This was on concrete. For the most part, the courts were fine. There were a couple, specifically in the middle on the one side, 3 in a row, all were atrocious. Very similar to how they all were last year. But basically, there was 3 air bubbles on one of the receiving zones. And I made sure to do the math. I'm like, okay, if it goes to game 3, we're serving to that side.
Yeah.
So we don't end on it. Because I'm like, I don't want to lose on a serve that hits that, and we don't have a chance to return it. So regardless, we started on that side, and Jack had 2 balls that didn't fully bounce up. We had one in the kitchen that just hit and didn't come up. Overall, it wasn't terrible. Then we go to the other side. I hit 3 out of 4 serves in a row to this guy, landing on it where it just hit and rolled 6 feet. And that's exactly what I was aiming for. And I told him, I'm like, I'm trying to do it. Like, I'm sorry, but like you guys had the opportunity also. So we won that in 2. But I did not want to play on that court, because I watched Cody drilling with his doubles partner the day before, and they played on that. And I watched so many serves do the exact same thing, of just they land in the middle of the court and they just roll. And I'm like, I hope we don't get that court. And then we got that court. And then I kept, I think, calling it court 6. I think it was court 5. Regardless, then we won. Semis went to 3 games also. And then we got to the gold medal match, which was awesome. First time I've ever made a gold medal match in men's doubles, because the best I had done is I had made semis the last 2 years in both of Vegas. In Fontainebleau and then one of the other events, I had made semis and had lost. So I was like, nice to be guaranteed a medal and not have to go to the back draw or whatever. And the guys we played apparently had only been playing 5 months. Both very clearly had tennis backgrounds, and they almost pickled us our first game. I think we got like 3 or 4 points. And we went to the sideline. Jack had his friend group from Vegas, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, we have to play a perfect game to beat them or to even have a chance. And the second game, we played flawlessly. Like, I can't even tell you necessarily what we did. It was just, we kept the ball low. They couldn't speed up and drill us. Like, they had that shot from below the net.
Yeah.
They were definitely better than us. Like, they could outlast us. So it's like, we just couldn't make the mistakes, and we didn't. And I think we won like 11-5.
Yeah.
And then we got 11-0 in game 3. So it was like, there wasn't a single game that was close. So that was the only thing that kind of I was disappointed by, but it was just funny because, like, yeah, singles got crushed, was out early, and then doubles, it was like, we were there for like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
But it was nice. I think I have it here, but yeah, it's nice to get another medal because we both got ours in singles last year at Darling Center. Hopefully this year in doubles.
And singles.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Singles, but we didn't medal in doubles last year.
No, I know, but hopefully we get both this year.
That's true. Oh, that's right. We're both, yeah.
Yeah, we're playing singles
We
again.
signed up today.
Why did we do it?
I don't know why I signed up for singles, but I have to defend my championship, and also my duper tanked.
Yeah, you're losing. You're going down.
That's
I'm
fine.
winning this time.
I hope we get a rematch.
I'm winning this time.
That will be fun.
That would be so funny.
But
opposite sides of the bracket again.
I know. But anyways, yeah, I was very happy. I always love going home with hardware. And it was awesome because, yeah, it was Jack's first event, and I could tell he was like hooked on it. He's like, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I was glad he had a really good time. But now to jump into some of the things about the event.
Yeah.
So Zane tweeted about this, and I had texted him about this after because I saw him there, and I was talking to a couple other pros after they were playing, and people have been noticing their paddles are getting severely damaged. And I don't know if the ball is fully to blame, because that was the question. Is the lifetime ball causing more damage on paddles? And I think I sent you some pictures. I'll put them up on screen. My Boomstik is wrecked on the face now.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many chips in that Infinigrit, like chips on the face.
Yeah.
And it was already fairly smooth, but I talked to somebody else who had started with like a newer paddle, and his paddle very much smoothed over, and he was cleaning it correctly. My theory, which I talked to some people by, is I don't think the ball is necessarily a problem. I think it's the temporary courts, because the courts we played on, everyone complains in singles because you can't slide. So a lot of people pull out because they don't want to twist an ankle, and just also the ball can obviously take weird bounces, but on the temporary courts. But I think the courts are like sandpaper, and that scratches up the ball more, and then that's what's causing the damage on the paddles.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's the lifetime ball specifically, because that happened last year. We went to the Darling Center because it's normally used for tennis, and they painted all the courts fresh.
They were brand new,
and they were like sandpaper, and our mods got absolutely torn up.
Yeah. So that's why I think it has more to do with the playing surface being brand new or temporary courts. Zane had mentioned that it's happening on regular events as well. So it'd be nice to know if those courts were brand new or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the ball. Yeah. A bunch of people are saying it. I don't think it's the ball. I think it's the courts, because my Boomstik though was wrecked. And then my Fury, I looked at, now granted, the Boomstik was only 3 games. Like, I only used it for those 3 games, and so much damage to the face. The Fury played like 14 games with throughout that day, and practice and all that.
The Fury is what you used in doubles.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Yeah. I didn't even say that. Yeah. So yeah, I ended up using the Thrive Fury. I wanted to use the Loco, but I just didn't quite hone it in. And then the Boomstik, I just didn't trust it after singles.
Yeah.
And then I had only brought 3 paddles. So I was kind of left with, I need to use the Fury.
Yeah.
And I love the feel of it. I just wasn't fully sure if I wanted to commit to the hybrid again in doubles. I like hybrids a lot, but yeah, it ended up working out really well. My hand speed was great. The power on the paddles, it's controllable. Because the other thing also I was worried about is with this ball, obviously this ball is a lot livelier. And coming off the Boomstik and doubles, didn't want to trust it. And I was also worried about that with the Loco.
Yeah.
And not saying that the Fury is low on power, but it's definitely lower on pop than the Boomstik. Yeah. And it's probably close to the Loco, but I think it's a little bit more controllable, because the Loco, you'll get those random jumps off the face, and the Fury, I don't. It's more consistent of the amount it's going to fly off. So the lifetime ball that was a big deciding factor for me. That's the other bit of news I want to talk about. So obviously, the paddle faces, that's a big thing. The second thing, though, was, and I heard Chris talk about this, and I texted him about it because I was like, that's exactly what happened in our event at the PPA. I didn't play a single match all week with a brand new lifetime ball. Every single game we elected to use the used one, and the ball was flawless. I had no issues with it. Now, the one contingency on that, which is going to be interesting to see when we play outside on outdoor courts and not temporary courts, is does the ball really not bounce that much more? Because when this ball people are saying breaks in, I don't like that term. When the ball is used, it doesn't bounce as much. It's a lot more muted. I even think it's a little bit slower, like the slightest bit. But the biggest thing is it just doesn't bounce as high. And on temporary courts as well, the ball's also probably bouncing a little bit less because it's not, actually adhered to the ground. And I'll put up some B-roll also I took of how they installed the courts, as well as there was only a couple courts left open. I wanted to get the really bad court, but it was already rolled up because I stayed for Sunday to watch. But just what people have seen before, you drop a ball, it doesn't come up. There's just air bubbles on a couple. But so that's the thing that sucks about temporary courts. But I will say this was infinitely better than Fontainebleau last year. Yeah. And the other thing I will say is I don't know what they did for the 2 pro courts, like Grandstand and why am I blanking on?
It's just like the
Champions Court. I'm blanking on what it's
Grandstand
called.
2 or whatever.
Grandstand and I think it's Championship Court. They had a different surface. Yeah. So I think they just had like this super big surface that covered everything. There was no air bubbles in those courts. I saw no issues with those. I even drilled with Cody because I got a prototype of the waves before it came out. And I wanted to hit it. So I was hitting it on Grandstand Court when no one was on it. And I was like, oh, this court's great. Yeah. So for the main 2 pro courts, it was fine. They had a couple others that were fine. There was just a couple bubbles on the side. But overall, much better than last year. Because I played on Grandstand Court in semis last year. And that was arguably one of the worst courts I played on. Like, it was terrible. So, it was nice to see. At least it seems for the pros, it's fixed. Yeah. The amateurs, it needs to be better. But also, indoors, air conditioning, lots of courts. I'm not going to complain. I thought it was good enough. But I still got to pick it up. But anyways, that's the biggest thing for us is with the Lifetime Ball. I want to see how it is outdoors in a tournament on outdoor courts to see if even the used ball, if I have the same opinions, because I've completely switched.
Yeah. When we were drilling tonight, we switched to a Vulcan because we hit the Lifetime over the fence. The first hit, you were like, oh, it didn't come off the paddle.
At all. It was dead.
Yeah. So, it definitely bounces more.
Yeah. It's just really consistent though.
Yeah. No, it doesn't skip really, and it doesn't
really break.
Yeah.
Like, I'm using the same balls that I've been using for forever, and on top of that, they stay round. Yeah. Like, I am very...
That's the really key part.
I'm very impressed by the durability of the ball. I just hate it when it's new.
And it's durable, but it doesn't get heavy like the Pro S1.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
Not to mention the Pro S1 turned into a cube oval or something. So
a modified cube.
Yes. A modified cube is
anyways, crazy. So that's kind of the big thing though for how PPA Las Vegas went at the convention center, which was sponsored by Walgreens. I don't know if that was in the title or not, but since there's another Vegas, I want to just differentiate. Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was much better than Fontainebleau last year. There was more food options that were close. They had the food trucks outside, because that was the other problem last year is you had to go down to the food court and you could miss your court time then. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was nice to medal, and it was definitely interesting kind of seeing what happened to paddle, the new ball, and watching the pros. So looking forward to in 5.5, 6 weeks, we'll be in Vegas again. And then in 8 weeks, I'll be at Worlds. So outside of that though, let's go into some actual news. And the biggest thing that I saw, which has been something I have been trying to say for a long time, is the Boomstik. Oh. So the UPA-A announced that the Boomstik that was submitted to them did not have the MOI tuning on the side. And I reached out to Selkirk for their explanation, and they say the MOI tuning in their minds is no different than adding tungsten or lead to the side of a paddle. So therefore, it shouldn't, putting that on there shouldn't change anything. But I think the UPA-A is taking the stance that it's part of the paddle.
Which is fair, but also I slightly agree with Selkirk. It is the same thing.
Correct.
But also, they're selling it as part of the paddle.
Not only that, though, this goes into...
And it's non-removable. They said it's semi-removable,
But if you remove it, it could ruin the edge guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you're already seeing edge guard problems on that paddle to begin with.
You can remove it, but your $330 paddle might break, and then it's probably out of warranty.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, too. If they're counting it, if you take those off and it's out of warranty, then they have to admit that it's part of the paddle.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you changed the paddle.
But this leads to a bigger issue, which I've been trying to say about power paddles for the longest time. Because I've been seeing, which I'll just reference it right now. We're going to talk about the Ronbus Quanta.
Yeah.
Which I've been loving. Spoiler. My review
Great
should
paddle.
be out before this, so whatever. But the Quanta comes in super light. Comes in very similar to the Boomstik. The Boomstik passed USAP and UPA-A testing. I'm assuming it was the same at USAP without the weight.
Yeah.
So if it's at the limit without the weight and everyone's like, oh, this paddle hits so hard, it has the weight. So is this just proving the fact that these paddles are out of spec? The fact, because it's the whole thing of, okay, now the pros are going to be given paddles that do not have the MOI tuning. Also, I have asked, because someone had commented this, you cannot buy the paddle without the MOI tuning. Because I want that paddle.
Yeah, I mean,
because I would rather put, as I mentioned in my review, 5 or 4.5 grams on 3 and 9 and spread it across more of the paddle face and have the paddle be slightly lighter and just more to my liking. And if I want to put a little bit more, I will. Which, spoilers, what I did to another paddle. Actually, 2 other paddles we're going to talk about. But it's just like, this is going, like, the testing is stupid then.
Yeah.
Because if you're getting to the limit, but then you're allowing people to obviously add adjustments, it's going to be over the limit. And then we have a different assumption of power, because paddles that actually play good stock that are coming in at, say, 0.43, you're not going to want to add as much weight.
Yep.
So it's like they're playing more within the rules. And I guess, like, again, other companies are playing within the rules too, but it's like, it's clearly flawed.
Yeah. And this was the problem back when all the reviewers went to the media day. This was all before the foam, but this is what they were talking about with braking.
Yeah.
Where they were like, okay, cool. So you'll just submit a paddle that passes and then you'll break it.
And it's going to hit infinitely harder.
And it's going to hit infinitely harder. It's just hard because all these companies are going to keep finding a way to make a paddle that hits harder than the rules say, because that's what people want. And just if we jump into how, just a quick thing on the waves, a lot of people are saying it's not hitting that hard and all this stuff. That's probably top end of what power is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Everyone else is playing outside of the rules. Yeah. And then when someone plays inside the rules, everyone's like, this paddle sucks.
Yeah. And a perfect example of this is, like I mentioned, delaying the fact, but I used the Thrive Fury.
Yeah.
That paddle came in at 0.433.
Yep.
Not saying that that is the biggest dictator of power, because we've seen some paddles that come in higher and like, okay, this doesn't feel like it hits as hard, but that's at the limit. So that means it's got to be close to what high-end power is. It might not be the hardest hitting paddle because it's 0.43, but it should be close.
Yeah.
However, as we just mentioned, you could create a paddle essentially that is a 110 swing weight, like the Boomstik is without weight, or the Quanta is, or like the, actually, no, not the Loco, but it's like you can just create something that's lighter and then just add a ton of weight after, and it's probably not going to be 0.43 after the fact. So it's like, maybe that's the problem, what we're experiencing with PB Core. Yep. But besides the fact, I won't say it directly, but the carbon waves might be at that number, and people are saying it's not a power paddle online. Could not be more wrong in my opinion, but it's just, that's like, we're in this weird space of like, very clearly some of these paddle companies are making good paddle stock at the limit, but then these paddle companies that aren't, these are the ones that we're saying, well, that's the power paddle. These are the old, like, hyper power paddles, and all these others, like, that's low end power or all core. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. But even the waves, it's like, it's at that, and then you put on weight, you're still not going to be 0.43. So that can't be the end all be all. But if the Boomstik is at 0.43, which we don't know if it is or not.
Without the MOI tuning.
Without the tuning. And then you put 15 grams on the paddle, and we all know it hits like a rocket.
Yeah.
probably out of spec, if you had to guess.
Spoiler warning. I'm going to release a video. It's going to take a lot of editing because I filmed this video like 3 times, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it just for the foam paddles. And also because everyone's comparing, obviously, the Genesis to the Waves. I wanted to hit them side by side. I also had our buddy Cody, who's a 5.0 player, do the speed test with me as well. Did speed tests on all the paddles. I did 10 or 11 foam paddles, and I also brought the Pro 4. Want to guess what paddle hit the hardest pretty easily? Boomstik.
Yeah,
I got to double check. There might have been one other one that's close. I think the GX2 Power, but like it was the Boomstik.
Yeah, the moment I hit it, I was like, oh, the mod's back.
Yeah, pretty much. Like not to the same level, but it gives you that tingle of like, oh my gosh, like this is a clear advantage.
And that
was my favorite thing too. In my review, I said, I'm like, I am getting way more aces with this paddle. And someone like replied to that, like directly to that in the comments of like, LOL. And I'm like, this paddle hits harder. If you have a big serve, Jack Sock
hit it 77 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy. Yeah, it's like...
and they promoted that.
I know.
But that's probably not something you should be...
That's why I'm just like, this paddle clearly...
And also, in saying all that, the Boomstik's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the Boomstik. Yeah. But...
I think it's an amazing paddle.
We've just found another flaw in testing, and that's also to say that testing is never going to be perfect.
No.
Because what is happening in testing and what's happening in the real world is not always the same thing.
Yeah.
To get into that this weekend, we've had a bunch of paddles fail.
Yeah.
Who knows why?
Yeah, so I think saw a couple pros posting about, I think it was Protons.
Yeah.
I think might have been the new pickle paddle as well.
I don't know if it's the new pickle paddle or the old. If the old pickle paddle failed, then that's crazy.
Clearly, but the other thing is we also have seen in the past where the testing equipment's flawed. Because a bunch of pros are saying it's paddles they've been using for the last couple of weeks, and all of a sudden now everything's failing.
Yeah, and
so it'll be interesting to see what comes out. Obviously, we're posting this before we get more answers. But yeah, we're seeing more paddles fail this week, and it's like, okay, is UPA cracking down more on paddles then? Because obviously they just came down to the Boomstik. Maybe they're coming down more stuff as well. Who knows?
And that'll be crazy.
Yeah.
So, but definitely something to keep an eye out.
But yeah, it's just the Boomstik is such a great paddle, but it's just, as I said, I was a little bit more critical of it than I think some other people, just because I'm like, there's clearly some QC issues. There's something else on Facebook today. I'll put that up of, they basically said loose edge guards don't affect performance, and on thermoform paddles, it doesn't matter. So you might, like, it kind of sounded like if you have a loose edge guard, you might not get a warranty. And it's like, okay, you're spending $333 and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like the performance is there, but we've had issues with the weights coming loose or cracked, edge guards coming loose. It just, is the Infinigrit going to hold up? That one I'm still holding out on because like I still get good spin, even though it feels a lot smoother. And also I got a way less grittier one in pre-production than the replacement unit I got. So that's a video that's going to come later of actually testing that, as I'm sure some other people are as well. But it's really unfortunate to see. And this is also why I am promoting the Era so much more. And I'm sure you can core crush that paddle because it's Gen 3. Every Gen 3 paddle can core crush. But you know what I'm not hearing a bunch of complaints about? I'm not hearing a bunch of complaints about the Era. I'm seeing a ton of complaints about the Boomstik. And again, not for performance.
Yeah.
The performance of the Boomstik is fantastic.
Phenomenal.
But other parts of it, and price being a factor, there's just more issues than there should be.
Yeah.
Now, granted, also, they are selling those like hotcakes.
Yeah. So
you're bound to find more issues. It's just like the Yola paddles. They sell so many Pro 4s and Gen 3, like 3Ss. You're going to find more problems. But this paddle is supposed to be more durable with the foam, and it just seems like the easy stuff is what's being messed up right now. And now this little delisting, which doesn't affect amateurs though, because it's still USAP approved, so we can still use it, no issue. It just affects the challenger players and the pro players. So they'll be getting ones without, or I guess if you're a challenge player, you're going to have to rip off the MOI tuning by yourself, assuming you probably don't get free paddles if you're on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some of them might, but not ever. Like I know Yola's pretty stingy with paddles for their pros that aren't signed or highly ranked. So
yeah,
that's going to be unfortunate for people that bought the Boomstik and now have to make an adjustment and risk breaking their paddle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm excited for I think I might use the Era. That's on my list of like the ones I would use in Vegas. So
right on. I got to figure it out. I'm gonna be between a paddle we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
The Thrive Fury Elongated, because I'm getting my hands on that this week, I think. And another paddle we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So 2 of the paddles in this list or the Fury. Very similar to kind of just subbing the Boomstik out. So it's going to be the Loco, the Fury, or another paddle we're going to talk about. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. But regardless, the paddle everyone's been talking about, and we can't go into big details on, but Trufoam Waves. Another addition to the Trufoam line, which is why everyone was having to correct in our reviews. It's called the Genesis, because they said there's going to be more paddles in the Trufoam line.
Yeah.
Because everyone was referring to the original one as just the Trufoam. My favorite thing I heard, the very first comment, they're like, oh, it's gray edge guard like Honolulu. And I was like, oh, I did see that. But overall, I like the design of it. I think
electrical tape.
I think the white pops a little more.
Yeah. I like the blue.
I love the blue, and the paddle cover on this is great.
Yeah,
I love what they did.
It looks really good.
And as a California company, I just think,
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But you want to just jump into kind of what we've already talked a little bit about. But why is everyone else that has this paddle, for the most part, wrong?
Because it hits hard. Like, the bottom line is, I think this hits really hard. I was listening to Chris and Isaac just at work. I had a moment. I was listening to Chris and Isaac's podcast, and I'm with Isaac. He was like, this thing hits towards top end of power. I think it's up there with the Pro 4. Right below, right above.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite there.
But then they compared it to a Paddle Tech. And they said it's the Paddle Tech of foam. Because the sweet spot, I do agree with some of the other reviewers that there's some dead spots.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hit the sweet spot, which is not a bad sweet spot, performance is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I hit some overheads when we were drilling today that came off as fast as any other paddle.
I will agree. I was genuinely surprised, because I had only been using a prototype, and then I had only done this with drilling. I hadn't been against somebody else that has had it and has played with it.
Yeah.
And some of your overheads, I was genuinely like, oh. Like,
and it's maybe got
big.
4 grams up the side of it. Like, it's not... I'm not wielding a 9-ounce paddle right now. Like, I think it hits really hard. Spin is crazy.
That's the thing. So,
and everybody seems to agree on that.
Yeah.
That the spin is crazy.
And I was going to say my early impressions of it I started with the 4 shape, and then I went to the 1 shape. Because again, I've just been playing with a lot of hybrids.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of mess around with that. My first impression was like the feel of the waves is infinitely better, in my opinion, than the Genesis. I much prefer the feel of this paddle. What's interesting is I almost prefer the feel of mine stock over when I picked up yours. Granted, you also put weight in a different spot than I do.
Yeah.
Because I picked up some of your paddles before, and I don't love the feel, and I think it's more because of where the weight is.
Yeah.
I like my weight a little bit higher, more on the sides, like 3 and 9. You like it more on the throat. So it'll be interesting, because I have only played my paddle stock. I have not put any weight on them. But the feel is great. The control is phenomenal. And as you mentioned, like, when I was hitting some drives, just the spin, like, it's like what everyone said on the original one. It feels like it pockets the ball. It feels like you can manipulate it how you want. I feel like it's really good for those people that kind of like the feel of like a tennis racket.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is a lot of people didn't feel like it had a ton of spin. And I think it's different. It's more of, you can generate a lot of spin with this paddle.
Yeah.
The paddle itself won't generate the spin for you, though.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some paddles that just have either it's a lot of grit, or just like, say, some Gen 3 paddles where the paddle face might flex more on its own. I think that's where some people are used to, versus this one. It's like, if you really compress the ball, or you're someone who really like is able to like move through the ball versus hitting the ball, this is one of the best paddles in the market, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then Kyle said as well, like, this paddle's what he expected the Genesis to be. And I think, I don't know why, but whenever I hit, the first time we hit the Genesis with Brody, when I hit his that was weighted up to like 8.9 ounces. This is what I expected it to be.
I completely agree with that.
And I really like this paddle. This is a top contender. Like right now, if we were playing Vegas next week, I'd probably use this.
See, that's knowing the feel and the power level of this, because the biggest thing that I've been noticing for myself with paddles, I love power paddles that are mid pop. I don't like super poppy paddles, and this is not a crazy poppy paddle. Now, there were a couple, like when you were driving at me, a couple of my blocks, I was like, they were jumping up a little bit more. So it's going to take some more testing to figure out, but like at the net, dinking, all that stuff, I'm not popping balls up. So it's like, I really do feel great control with this paddle. But what you just said there of like, this is what I thought the Genesis would be, especially, with Brody's original Genesis with all that weight. Yeah, this feels more like that than what our Genesis felt like. And that's because we just didn't weight them up nearly as heavy, or at least I didn't.
Yeah.
And I remember even getting the original Genesis, being a little let down by the power. And on top of that, I'm like, oh, sweet spot's not great. I need to throw a ton of weight on this. I've never experimented more with weight on a paddle than that, because I'm like, I need to get this to a point where I like it. And I eventually found it, but it took a lot of tinkering. This, outside of the sweet spot with, some of those dead spots, I'd feel comfortable playing this stock.
Yeah.
And I will say this, because we're not allowed to get into specs. I've seen somebody else post this, but I want to play within the rules. Or at least I don't want to get in trouble. Let me put it that way. These are a little bit more better out of the box, is what I would say. And you can probably figure out what I mean by that. And I'm talking slightly, but it's like this one I picked up, I could just play with it, and like, I'm going to add weight, but this one feels better
for sure.
Stock.
Yeah. And then I haven't fully taken it out and played games with it, but I did pick up the 3 and like hit it against the wall. And just, I think the shape, the way it tapers
more like that,
and just it's heavier because there's more paddle face.
Yeah.
I think it feels crazy stable out of the box.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to test. I'm just happy they're finally calling that an elongated.
Yeah, right.
We all bullied them enough times saying that was not a hybrid, because it's the magnet shape.
Yeah.
So it's a shorter handle, elongated. And I'll close this because I'm pretty sure we can say this also. It's coming in the 4 shapes, because I know the TFG4 came out months after the original 3 shapes. The Waves is launching with all 4. Not going to go into more than that, but you can probably expect them to be the same dimensions and everything else regardless. There is one adjustment, but I'll save that for the review. But general build, it's the same 4 shapes that we're used to seeing. So it's nice to see they're launching with all 4 out the gate, because I think that hybrid in the Genesis.
Yeah, people really like that 4 shape.
Yeah, and I know a lot of other reviewers really loved that when that came out, and they're like, this should have launched. And so now it is with the Waves.
Yep.
But jumping into, I want to bring up this, because this was a genuine surprise. And again, my review should be out before this comes out. But before we even jump into this paddle, I think another reason why, and it's proving my point in my mind, of the Waves, of they're like, oh, this doesn't hit hard. You know what that paddle doesn't do? Doesn't make a loud sound.
Yeah.
I think sound is really fooling a lot of people, and that's why I was trying to reserve all of my thoughts until I got on a radar gun. And I was like, yeah, it hits harder. And I mean, we can tell hitting serves and drives, it definitely hits harder in the Genesis.
By a lot.
But this is a paddle, I think, that went the opposite way, which I think a lot of people are overhyping the amount of power it gets, is the Ronbus Quanta, which comes in 5 shapes. So the R1 and the R3 are elongated. The R2 and the R5 are wide bodies. And then the R4 is the hybrid. I think I did that right. Pretty sure I
think
did.
so. Sounds right.
But regardless, I love this paddle. I played, and it wasn't like a full-fledged tournament, but I played a tournament this weekend with it, just because I wanted to get in some like real games, since I've added some weight. Because I know some people, because this basically comes in, so this is the R3 shape, which is, standard elongated. Not quite the Boomstik, but the shape I prefer. I know you like that new Boomstik shape.
I like this too, though.
So 5.5-inch handle elongated. This comes in, I think, around 110 swing weight and then like just under 6 twist weight. Super light. Boomstik elongated came in around 109 if you take off the weight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is essentially stock, the same paddle as the Boomstik in terms of specs. Not feel, not construction, not saying that, just based off that. So I was like, okay, I complained about the Boomstik of me not being able to put just 5 grams on the side. I did that on this paddle. I love it. It feels great. I actually think I might put a tad bit more, or I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this and I'm going to go up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Just because I think that will help the power. Regardless, this paddle is pretty stiff out of the box. It's super light, doesn't hit hard. Again, another paddle. I wonder what the PB Core score actually was, because if this comes in at 0.43, I don't think it did, to be honest. I think this one was probably lower. But regardless, with the weight, hits infinitely harder, way more pop, and the feel softens up. So it's like the paddle just gets infinitely better with weight. It reminds me a lot of the C45.
Yeah.
Which is a very easy comparison to it.
If I had one of these, I would probably have weight from like here all the way up to there.
Well, I know Chris double wrapped because he mimicked the Boomstik. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I do think I went a little bit low. I usually don't. So I think I want to move this up because it's still like you picked mine up and you're like, oh, that's really light. And I'm like, when picking up like some of the other paddles, I was like, oh, this still feels light with this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I can move this weight up higher, which would probably have more benefits the way I like it anyway. So again, not done tinkering, but I love where this is at. And just, it's so good. And spoiler alert, $99 after code. Like this thing is, in my opinion, this thing is just above 90% as good as the Boomstik.
Yeah.
Now, where I started this paddle sounds very loud when you add weight. This paddle does not hit as hard as a Boomstik. You cannot convince me. I put it on my speed gun. It didn't get close to the Boomstik. Now, it hits hard. Like, I think this is middle of power with weight. Without weight, this paddle might be all cord.
Yeah.
But like, it just, Ronbus killed it. Ronbus killed it with this paddle. And not only did they kill it with this paddle, they killed the refoam and probably the Ripple V2. Because I don't know why you would ever buy those paddles over this. $280 for a Ripple V2, and I think like $180 for the refoam.
Yeah.
Like, this paddle is so good. So it's just, this is going to be very hard to beat for paddle of the year so far for me.
Yeah.
Like, it just, performance and price included. Because like, again, I always criticize people that factor price too much in, but this paddle's performance and then you add in the price.
Yeah. No, it's
like
insane.
Such a good deal. And it's coming out, I think, this week.
And there's 5 shapes, so you can definitely get what you want.
Yep. They have everything. They offer everything. Like they're just doing the Vatic model. Just make a bunch of paddles in different variations and make it budget and make it just as good as most paddles. Although I would argue this is a better performance paddle than what Vatic is, because they, like, the Prism obviously is one of the greatest paddles made, but that's all cord.
Yeah.
Like, this is power. This is an affordable power paddle. Like, we love the Fever from Friday.
Yeah.
That's a great paddle, especially if you add weight. I think this is better.
Yeah.
Or at least I think this paddle will feel more fun to more people.
Yeah.
Because it has the loud sound and it has that good foam feel. If you don't like foam, I would still go the Fever route. But this one, I think, has more high-end performance potential with weight. Sure. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I hit with this for the first time tonight, and it feels awesome. I really like this paddle. Yeah, I'm excited.
Anyways, let's jump into your paddle.
Yeah, I got one over here.
Which,
where's yours?
I don't have it.
Why not? You don't have one of these?
Because Gherkin likes co-hosts this month, apparently.
Yeah, so I got this paddle in the mail from Gherkin, Untitled. So, kind of like the unmarked, it's Untitled. No name prototype, Gen 3 paddle. It's funny, I got a DM from them, long message. They were like, hey, you got a paddle in your mailbox. They didn't even say like, hey, a paddle shipped. They were like, it just delivered. And
so funny.
They were like, and JJ's not getting it, just so you know.
Uh-huh. Thanks, Gherkin.
JJ's not getting it. Braden's not getting it. Chris isn't getting it. Co-host paddle only. Gen 3 paddle. Needs weight. Put weight on it. Feels great.
Do you know what the specs were on it? I'd be curious.
Yeah, it started with a 116 swing weight.
Okay.
So it was slightly lighter for a elongated.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I think twist weight was just at or under 6, and then
pretty normal.
And then yeah. So I put weight from here to here. I put too much on it at first. Yeah, it's a good Gen 3 paddle.
I was gonna say, when we were drilling tonight with it, it seemed like you were liking it and digging it a lot.
Yeah, so there's foam here, 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 and here. So it's a little different. It's like a semi-floating core because there's still openings on all the sides.
Okay.
But there's foam in all the corners. But yeah. You want one of these?
I would love to talk about it, but Gherkin doesn't like me apparently. Yeah. So they don't like the host.
They said you can touch it. So you can.
Oh, really? No, I'm good.
No,
I'm good. They're not going to send me one. I don't need to talk about it. No, I'm kidding. Next time we drill, I'll try to get my hands on it. If Gherkin allows that, of course. But
no, they said you can't hit.
No, I will say when you told me, because you told me when it delivered, you didn't tell me obviously, or you told me when you actually like opened it up.
Yeah.
So I did know this was coming. Plus, also you were sick the past week, so I've known about this for a week. I do think that is a very, very smart move on Gherkin's part, because they know it's going to get covered. The co-hosts, anytime they can talk about anything, that's theirs exclusively. Yeah. So I will give you props, Gherkin. Well done. Well played. But yeah, I am excited to actually give that a look. I am very happy because like I liked the Nightshade. It came out around 2 other paddles that I thought were very similar. And I thought the sweet spot on the Nightshade was just a little bit worse. Yeah. So that was my problem with covering that paddle. Like I didn't cover it more. But what I was going to say is, the design, much better.
Design much better. Also, this elongated shape is new. I was
going to say, it's not that. I don't know if I haven't played with it, so I don't know if I'm crazy about it yet.
They've tended to have the
normal
standard elongated. And then I think the handle's longer too.
It looks longer.
Yeah. So
I'll be intrigued.
Yeah, it's a good paddle.
And we've been talking like probably another topic as we're going long in this one, but polymer cores, like they're not dead.
They still feel better. So
that's what I kind of found out with using the Fury again this week. Yeah. Like again, 2 weeks ago at the PPA, I was like, gosh, Gen 3 paddles they're good.
They're good.
They're very good. I do like that floating cores are coming to obviously foam now. Yeah. But there's a couple. There are a couple that I think are very close. Yeah. But I think for the most part, foam just still is not quite there. Yeah, and I just want.
They've come a long way since like the 0-0 race.
And I think I think we'll get there.
Yeah,
and now that too. I'll say what I can say on this because it's something that no one's caring about currently or even thinking is going to come out. But this should be a good hint for people that are really a paddle nerd. So maybe you can figure it out in the comments. But a paddle similar to the 008 is making adjustments and might make a decent paddle this time. So we'll see. I got the email, so we'll see when those arrive and when I can talk about them. But just talking about even paddles that make adjustments after already coming out with the foam that maybe wasn't the best. Yeah. So I just want to reinforce though the fact that it's because obviously we're all pushing foam because of the durability, but it's just also at the same time, if you like Gen 3, stick with Gen 3. There's great options. There's still paddles coming out like Thrive Fury. Like again,
I find it hard.
The new Gherkin Untitled, which I can't talk about because I haven't hit it, but obviously another Gen 3 paddle. So it's like they're still coming out. There's great options.
I find it hard to switch to foam paddles because we get all the paddles. Mm-hmm. So like since I'm playing with so many, I'm like I prefer to just stick with these. Yeah, but if I had to go buy a paddle. I mean, like we just said, the Quanta, like... Oh,
the Quanta would be the easiest.
Like, that's the easiest.
On. The amount of friends...
Like, suggesting that, I don't think I could really suggest you go buy a $250 Yola.
I don't think I could suggest buying the Boomstik.
But I'd rather go play with a $250 Yola than that.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
So it's like...
$280.
Or the Flamingo. Or...
Yeah,
just different... like Gen 3 paddles that I'm like, I would personally rather use that to play my best. But if I was someone who just played pickleball and had one paddle, I don't see how you couldn't just go buy the Quanta.
Yeah, like, I mean, the end of the day, the one of the best performing paddles still which I don't even think anyone really talks about anymore, but everyone's using it, is the Pro 4.
Yeah.
Pro 4 is still arguably the best performing paddle on the market. It has some problems, different braking issues than last year, but like the performance of that paddle, so good. And everyone everyone that has it and has used that paddle for more than 2 months, like, loves it. And it's hard to get them to switch off.
Yep.
I have a friend actually, who's a big Ronbus fan. So they pre-ordered the Quanta.
Yeah.
They're using the Scorpius. I'll be very intrigued because he typically does not like poppy power paddles. And I'm like, okay, the Quanta should be right in the realm of what he likes. And I'm sure he's getting the R2. I'll be very intrigued to hear if he switches off the Scorpius finally.
Yeah.
Because he's like the perfect test subject for this one for me.
Yeah.
So, but I just, there's a ton of people that are pre-ordering. And again, it's like, it's $100. Like, why not? Like, if you're a paddle nerd or you want to try something new or you want to try your first foam paddle.
Or your first paddle in general.
That's true.
At $100, like this
knowing it's not going to core crush. Yeah.
It's the easiest recommendation.
Yeah. But going into another one where I think actually the Quanta kind of stole a little bit of the momentum is the Loco. And now this isn't the final production graphics. I think it's going to be a brown edge guard or like a light brown. And then it's going to have a cowboy or skull with 2 guns as the logo instead of a bull. But rebranded Loco. It's coming in all the shapes. I really like it. Yeah. I really like this paddle. As I mentioned, this was the paddle I was expecting to use in Vegas for PPA. And I did not get enough time with the lifetime ball and not enough time with this paddle. Like, I actually had this shipped to Vegas. Yeah. Because I told them, I'm like, because I got this a little bit later than everybody else. And I was like, I'm not going to be in Arizona. So like, I want this paddle ASAP. And like, they were trying to get it to, I'm like, you got to ship it here then. Because I don't want to go another week without not hitting this. But I'm really digging it. I'll be curious to see if I end up liking this more than the Quanta at the end of the day. But the problem is just they're very similar. Yeah. Like, they're both floating core foam paddles. Both have carbon fiber, which in all honesty, I'm liking a little bit more than the Infinigrit. Yeah.
Like I don't know. There's something about this shape that feels different too than other elongated. Yeah. I like Bread and Butters. It's the most traditional elongated you could get. Yeah.
And not only that too, I mean, they're coming out in their 3 shapes now. Like they did that. What was the first one they did that on? The new Filths.
Yeah, they rebranded the Filths.
The rebranded Filths. They redid the logo slightly and they came out 3 shapes. They're going to do that with the Loco as well. Yeah. And it's like, again, 3 options. This one's only $180 after code. Yep. Again, this one I think hits harder than the Quanta, in my opinion. Like stock, this one comes in heavier. Yeah. I think the swing weight was around 116. I don't remember the twist weight, probably around 6 again, same thing. I ended up putting 4 grams on each side. Again, I'm going to mess around. Maybe I don't need that much. I did think this had some... So one thing I've heard about foam, and this goes back to our conversation of, I think Gen 3 paddles, polymer are still slightly better. This is one where when I was dinking balls, and again, this was without weight, there were some dinks where I'd hit just slightly like upper corners, not edge guard, just upper corners, more dead.
Yeah.
Like, much
I
more
will
dead.
say, again, sick for a week. He was been gone for 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. Tonight was the first time I hit this as well. This is the best feeling in like, this is the closest to a Gen 3 paddle.
Correct.
Out of all the foam paddles.
And that's why I was going to say, like, the Quanta feels great.
The moment I hit it, I was like, this feels natural.
And that's why as soon as I hit it, that's why I thought I was going to use this. Yeah. Because I'm like, this feels the most familiar to what we're used to with non-foam paddles. Yeah. Just need to hone it in, I think, a little bit more. Because I'm confident there's a weight setup I can find on this that's not too complicated. Yeah. That I'm like, oh, this is good. And I will say, since I've added the 4 grams, those slight dead spots with dinking have mostly gone away. They're not fully gone, but they're much improved because just the twist weight was lower on this. I might have been overestimating on the 6 twist weight, but I know the swing weight was around like 116. So the twist weight actually might have been even lower than that. It might have been like 5.6. So regardless, it needs some help in that stability department, but
it's going to be a hard choice what to play with in Vegas.
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's just tough because we went from Boomstik, $330, which everyone loves the performance of in terms of high-end performance. Like I said, not quite for me. It's a little too poppy, but I do love it. Then you have this that came in, announced it's going to be $200 before code. And then right after that, literally a week and a half later, we get the Quanta for $100 after, or $120, $100 after code. And it's like, just, that's what I was saying. When I said that even in my Boomstik review, because I knew this was coming. I did not know the Quanta was coming. Where I'm like, there's going to be some copycats in terms of a floating foam core. I'm like, if you're not completely sold or the price tag is an issue for you on Selkirk, I'm like, just wait, because there's going to be more options.
Yeah.
And then the NF is still there too.
Yeah.
Like the NF.
I was hitting with the NF the other day, and
the 7?
I think it hits. Yeah. I think it hits pretty hard.
See, people are a little let down by it.
Did you put weight on it? Hits pretty hard with weight.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it does. That's why I'm like, I think this, again, I think it's very low end power, but I'm like, this hits hard enough.
Yeah.
Without weight. You add weight, it's going to hit harder. So I don't know, but and that's one where I think I don't really feel dead spots.
Yeah.
So
no, exactly. Sweet spot's great.
And so it's like, we've got a lot of options. That's why I'm like, eventually something's going to click all the way. It's going to probably be sub 250. And I'm going to be like, that's the paddle. And it might be the Loco. Again, I just need to adjust the weight.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so hard. I don't know what
that's what I'm saying. So everyone's been asking me.
Final answer, it's going to be either the Loco, the Waves, or the Fury.
Yeah. Because you're going to get an elongated finally.
It's got to be one of those.
You're not the biggest hybrid guy.
I'm not a hybrid guy.
And they have a pink one.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be like using the Magnus again.
Yeah, literally. Got to get some shoes from Tyson.
I know. I don't like those shoes you have, though.
Oh, no. They're too dark.
There's other pink ones.
Yeah.
Like
I wonder if the older version you could find again.
Yeah, maybe. But
it doesn't
have the new mesh.
I know, because I think there's 2 versions of these Skechers.
Maybe.
That are updated. Because I swore I saw somebody else have a different color, and it still had the same reinforced top.
Chris.
Yeah, I know. But outside of that, that's pretty much all the paddles. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've been being asked multiple times, like what I'm maining, and I'm like, this is the worst 2 months to have asked. Like, I'm switching constantly.
And then, yeah, I think of all the paddles, too, that just kind of got
forgotten.
Like, the C45. I was like, I'm going to main that for 3 months.
Yeah.
I hit it for about 2 weeks because we had to move on to 6 other things that were coming out.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the reality is the paddle market is very healthy, and it's phenomenal right now.
And it's getting to a point where it's such small changes because it's all preference now.
It's getting more to golf for me.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, a lot of people might not understand this unless you play golf. Because I've heard this was as a complaint of, it's like people are like reviewers, like people are switching left to right. We're like, oh, this paddle's the best paddle. This paddle's the best paddle. The reality is, let's talk about, like, as I mentioned earlier, the Boomstik. Performance, best performing paddle, like outside of the Pro 4. I think in terms of power, feel, sweet spot, like, it's great. And durability, they said. Again, for the most part, I think the durability's there. There's just some QC issues that hopefully get fixed. Comes in super high, it's the first one. Then you have the Loco, okay? If this performs, again, 95% as well, $100 cheaper, or $130 cheaper. Actually, $150 after code, sorry. But it's like, okay, that's a better recommendation. And then now the Quanta, it's like, okay, if you want a little less power, but the same feel and whatever, foam, durability, okay, now that.
We're $250 cheaper, which is insane.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a hard world when things keep developing and the technology gets cheaper and cheaper.
Because it's also hard to say, like, oh, since this is so expensive, it's hard to recommend because, like you said, if Boomstik's the best and you want the best,
price isn't a factor.
The price isn't a factor. Go buy the Boomstik. It's a great, awesome, phenomenal paddle.
I mean, the reality too is when you look at other sports, and again, pickleball is supposed to be an affordable, very approachable sport.
Yeah.
But like, I look at it like a driver in golf.
Yeah.
A lot of drivers like over $1,000 now.
Yeah.
Like a $300 paddle.
Yeah.
That also should last because it's foam. That's not crazy to spend in reality. Because I also do know some people Selkirk paddles that use them for 2 years. Yeah. That's not a crazy ass.
And they have great customer service too.
Correct. Interesting post today. But yes, they are very responsive and they usually take care of you.
Yes.
Oh, another clarification I wanted to say on this as well. This is super late. Should have been in the Boomstik segment. But I reached out about the warranty because I was getting a lot of comments also saying you only get one. Bit shady, in my opinion, but they're trying to avoid the serial warrantier. Because we're seeing this across, especially a lot of the smaller brands, of people that are warranting, like breaking paddles on purpose to get a new one.
Yeah.
And so I think they were trying to have it in writing, because I'm sure they have a big legal team, that they are able to deny you a warranty paddle. Now, in my experience, and if you were to ask me honestly, I don't think they will deny you. They are generally extremely generous with their warranties. However, is a bit suspect that this is there, that they could flip and switch them out on a dime and be like, no, we're not going to warranty this.
Yeah.
When they're selling you the limited lifetime warranty. And it's like, is it though? Is it? Can you really say that then? So I don't know. It's a bit interesting, but regardless, basically the feedback I heard is maybe the fine print says one, you'll probably get more if they're legitimate claims. But I just wanted to highlight that because there was some validity to those comments. And also at the same time, Selkirk is generally pretty generous. So yeah, I wanted to also highlight that. But yeah, just interesting. But anyways, back to kind of what you were saying of, I always try to stand on the fact that you're supposed to review a paddle regardless of price, because we're supposed to be reviewing them on performance, and then our recommendations can factor in price. It's what I've been trying to go on. Problem is, if everything's good and outside of the top 1% of power, then price is the differentiator. Because if you have the same paddle and then it comes down to price, then that is the final. Like, yes, paddle is probably better, because if it's the same paddle and it's half the price, why would you ever recommend the higher one? Unless you like a brand, you like the design, you like the feel slightly better. That gets into the smaller things. And that's where I was kind of going to go with golf. We want to talk about technology that gets copied and just spread. I remember like drivers, like a white driver came out. Drivers have always been either wood and then they were black. There was nothing else other than, I guess, technically like a silver top one. Anyways, but drivers traditionally always have a black top. One company comes out with a white driver, every company comes out with a white driver. It's a marketing thing, and then everyone's buying it just because it's a white driver. It doesn't change the performance, but everyone copies the idea. The latest one that is performance, or at least there is some science behind it, whether it fixes your putting, it does not. But these zero torque putters, which was by this company called Lab Golf, which approached my college team like 15 years ago. No one wanted it. Bunch of tour pros start using them, get some wins. Everyone's using them on tour. They're $750 or like $600 plus. Everyone's buying them. Every company has come out with a zero torque putter this year. And I literally was in PGA Tour Superstore yesterday, and I was just taking pictures, and I'm like, it's just, everyone just copies the same technology. And not only that too, now granted, this is a fad because this technology had been around a while, but whenever something new like that comes out, it leaks in the Chinese factories also. Like it's spread. All these companies know what everyone else is going to do. It's very hard to keep like a brand new technology under wraps when you're not keeping the development in-house. Yeah. And that's what's happening in pickleball also. It's like you might be the first one out. Now, Carbon, obviously, they have patents, so they're somewhat protected, especially in their new core. Not going to get into it, but like it's a unique core. It's not just a carbon copy of what everyone else is doing. But for the most part, it's like you're just seeing the same thing. Like look at Gen 3. Look at thermoforming. Like Carbon, Double Black Diamond, like these first couple thermoform paddles, everything's thermoformed. Yep. Then you go to Gen 3, then you go to floating cores. Now you have foam cores that are floating cores. It's like, it's just small tweaks and adjustments. Like at the end of the day, like basically what I'm saying is everything's getting good. There's going to be a couple things with new technologies, like with foam. I do think there's actually some tweaks where we will keep seeing some improvement, especially since that's a brand new technology. But like at the end of the day, it really comes down to, do you like a brand? Do you like the look of it? What type of performing paddle do you want? And then what's your price point? Yep. Like what you buy is probably going to be good if you know those four things. And the first two are extremely easy to figure out. The last two, you might think you want one thing, but you probably should get something else. That's where, I think things might get a little tricky. And then feel is tough too, because we're not at a point where everyone has a pro shop where you can try every paddle. And a lot of the smaller brands like Thrive, unless you're in Vegas, or like Crush, unless you're in Arizona, Ronbus, I'm assuming where they're local, you could probably try some stuff. But like if you're not in that market, it's very hard to try the, mid-tier to smaller brands.
Yeah.
But like we were very fortunate when we started like All About Tennis. Like they carry all the major brands. So they have a great demo program for what was it like $30, $20?
Yeah, it's like $30 and you can have 2 or 3 paddles a week.
Yeah, up to a month. So you got to try at minimum 8 paddles.
Yeah.
For $30 before you purchase. Like
and then the $30 comes off if you buy a paddle from them.
It's like it's a brilliant system. So it's like if you're fortunate enough to have a pro shop that can do that, or you belong to a facility that has demos. But the reality is there's so many paddles in the market, it's just hard. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, the last thing is we had announced a giveaway for a Franklin C45 of your choosing. And I realized that we didn't give very super clear instructions. We mentioned saying Vegas in the comments. But this week, what do you want to do this week? You want to do another comment?
Yeah, let's do another comment. I'd say let's do... Have you, in the past 2 months, have you been tempted to buy a paddle? Have you bought a paddle? Or have you bought multiple paddles?
Yeah, I think that's a good question to figure out what, have you been tempted to buy anything? Are you waiting for something? Have you pre-ordered something? Just basically out of all, the big paddle releases in the last 2 months, what have you been tempted or what have you bought? I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
So drop that down below, put giveaway in there as well. And then also, as we had mentioned, this will be your second entry. So if you had also commented on last week's, you'll be double entered. And then we'll announce the winner in our next podcast, which should be in 2 weeks, I think. Yeah. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, regardless. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you guys.
See you next time.